Namaste and welcome to Magic Vibrations Healing School. My name is Damian Hay and today I would like to speak about healing. What is healing and how healing operates, and as I give private healing sessions since now more than 20 years, I would like to share my piece of wisdom about exactly what happens in a healing session and what are the essential aspects of it. Right, so when I studied with one of my teachers, Star Fuentes, well, she had this, way to articulate what healing is, and she would call it awareness, transformation brings healing. And I reflected a lot on this through my work, and today, well, I have, a more refined and, personalized, customized, I would say, understanding coming from my own experience, and I would like today to share it with my own words. So the words I ended up with, it's still 3 words. So for me, healing involves 3 main dynamics, and they are weaving, movement, and integration. Yes, of course, it correlates to this awareness, transformation, healing, but it's for me brings my own deeper understanding of what it is. So weaving, movement, integration. And I will start with the last movement, the last part of the healing process. So integration. Well, integration, it means to go back into integrity. It means to restore wholeness. And actually the word healing itself comes from a German root, a proto-German word that means whole, as whole, as complete. So it's about bringing back a sense of wholeness and coming back into integrity. And it comes through integration. And integration, well, this is the responsibility of the person that received the healing or goes through the process of healing. Right? That's why we say nobody can heal you and you can only heal yourself. Because the real healing part, which is the integration part, well, it's, you can do it, or I can do it if I work on myself. Nobody else can do it for you. And this process, well, it takes time, right? It's a process of actualizing ourselves. It's like if you take a jar or a bottle of water with some clay or mud and you shake it, so you create movement, then it's when, it phases out and the mud settles down at the bottom. Or it's, like shaking something and waiting that order, stillness comes back in a way that, it's actualized and refreshed. And it's a new version of whatever was shaken. So integration takes time, and the speed, the pace of integration, well, is different for different persons. Some people integrate really fast, usually about some subjects or some themes that they were working on. And for some other themes or for some other people, well, it does take longer time, right? So it depends, your nervous system ability to transform. It depends, of course, the context of your life, how much time you have. And this integration part, well, how does it work? Well, it works through first sleep, so stillness, doing nothing to just allow the energy to settle. It works as well through noticing what feels new and what feels different, right? So anytime our mind focuses on what changes or what is new, there we validate the new version of self that is coming into integrity, into integration, right? The mind is used to pay attention to what doesn't change, to what remains the same, to create this sense of safety through continuity. But when we integrate after healing movement, well, it's really important to focus on what feels different, what feels new, the new patterns, the new dynamics that are, showing up. So this is how we can support integration. Rest, sleep, stillness, and paying attention to what feels different and what feels new. So integration is the conclusion of the healing session. This is your responsibility if you receive healing. This is something that nobody can do for you. And this is what will create a new version of yourself. So it's like a recrystallization of yourself. It's a new perspective, a new perception of life and who you are that is crystallizing, that is becoming, well, who you are as a new version of yourself. Now, the second movement is called movement, right? It's a second part of the healing process, the general healing process. Well, movement, well, this relates to the technical part of the healing. Yeah, so it's the techniques used, the lineages involved. It's basically, what is happening to transform, to move the stagnant energy. So this is where, you go to learn techniques to move energy, to create this movement, right? So it can be energy work with hands-on healing. It can be something really shamanic where you explore the shamanic aspect of the psyche of a human. It could be a massage, so like really through touch. It can be psychotherapy. It can be, any kind. It can be dance. It can be music. It can be any form of art. So anything that moves energy, that moves the perception to bring a new perspective on, on life. And this movement part, well, this is, a really technical part. So you usually have, protocols that you follow until you gain more mastery, and then you can more improvise and find your own flow through, many techniques that you learned, so that you can, see what is necessary for this person, for this theme at that given moment. So the intelligence behind this movement, so the intelligence that somehow, and the source of the power that creates the movement, well, most of the time, there is something divine. So it comes from source. At least we could say there is something greater than the person that facilitates the movement. So through their own connection, through their own depth, through their own, ability to process things, through their own achievements in their own healing, they connect to a greater intelligence. We could call it source, the divine, God, higher self. And this is the intelligence, the greater intelligence that guides the movement, because this movement needs to be appropriate. So it needs to respect, the design, the karma, the spiritual clock, the intelligence of the being that, goes through the movement. So it's really about defragmenting, the self. So, different fragments so that you can identify. So that will be to, unravel the mystery. It's about bringing pieces together. So it's as well about retrieval, which is, missing pieces that come back to the core so that they can be reintegrated in the integration phase to the self. It's sometimes about letting go of what is not serving us anymore. Yeah, so there is this refragment, refragment aspect, retrieval aspect, and then letting go aspect that are all part of the movement. And this allows you to go from the old version, so the version that experienced probably struggle, to a new version of self. So the movement takes you from one state to another state. And the movement is just an invitation to change, right? So it really connects in the shamanic perspective with the animal energy, right? The animals, when there is something stuck in their system, well, they move their body. And through movement, so through this animal embodiment of our primal animal being, well, we can facilitate as well the movement. So movement is the second part of the healing process, right? Integration was the last part. Movement is the second part. And now let's explore the first part. Yeah, so the first part, I call it weaving. And weaving, it's about awareness, right? It's about identifying what is going on, identifying patterns. Yeah, when we weave a fabric, when we weave something and craft something with our hands, we have to identify the patterns that are at play. Yeah, the weaving connects the dots. The weaving, it's different threads of awareness that move through the psyche of someone to identify root causes, specific dynamics that are part of different parts of the psyche, different relationships, different sense of identities, different roles, different masks, and to see how they all correlate to each other as one main pattern that encompasses, well, the whole psyche. So this is where the healer matters. Yeah, the art of weaving is the expertise of the healer or the space holder for the healing process. And the more practice you have, the more you explore your own psyche, the more you explore the psyches of other people, your clients, let's say, then the more you become good at weaving. And weaving is something that you cannot learn in a weekend workshop. It comes through, listening, active listening. So when you truly connect to someone from a neutral place and you open all your senses and you truly listen to what is behind the words that they share with you, to listen to the body language, to listen to, the different informations that you receive, then you can start to weave. Weaving can come from pure psychic awareness, receiving messages, having your guides communicate with the guides of the other person. It can come from asking the right questions. And through the answers, well, different pieces, different fragments of the psyche are suddenly connected. Maybe, the person that received the healing through their answers, oh, now I remember that. And I never thought about that. And it's connected with this that happened when I was a child. Yeah, so you have the whole psychic input in the weaving that is really important. And as well, you have asking the right questions and, listening not only to the answers, but to what lies behind the words of the answers that you get. Weaving is to explore the fractals of consciousness. What does it mean? It means that we have different levels of fractalized identities. Yeah, we have our individual self with our own history from this lifetime. So the weaving will go there. And there is as well a more ancestral genetic aspect. So what you inherited from your ancestors, what is present in your genetic, something that somehow, is greater than you and it's carried through your DNA. And there is as well the collective aspect, right? So, the group, collective aspect of the psyche that we are connected to. And, well, if we speak about an original wound, so people come with a problem and you want to start to weave about it, well, the weaving has to go as far as it can go, right? In the individual field, in the genetic, ancestral field, and in the collective field, because the purpose here is to bring the threads of consciousness and awareness towards the original wound. And the original wound, well, it doesn't start in the human psyche. It doesn't start even in the ancestral lineages. It doesn't start even in the collective. It starts in the earth. It starts in the history of our consciousness as earth. It starts in the ecology of life, in the ecosystem of life where we truly belong to, and that we ended up separated from. And that's where the wound comes from. It comes from this separation. So weaving, it's truly about connecting dots in the web of the psyche, bringing pieces together, understanding a greater image, a greater picture of the dynamics that are at play, and not to just, remain on a small zoomed in level, but to zoom out and see how everything relates to each other. Why do we weave? Well, the weaving is so important because during the movement phase of the healing, this is where the energy will go. The energy will go through all the threads of awareness that you have woven in the psyche of your client, of the person that received the healing. The weaving is truly about revealing the greater picture. It's about taking the secrets out of the box. It's about bringing light in the darkness being the unconscious. So through asking questions, your psychic input, or storytelling, right, you can help someone or yourself to connect things that were not connected together so that it becomes more coherent. And as it becomes more coherent and it starts to become, a clearer understanding of what is truly going on and where it comes from, then the energy, so the divine intention through the energy that you will bring as a healer in the movement phase, well, this energy can go through all the threads of awareness and consciousness to all the levels of the fractals of the psyche to initiate movement, right? So this is what healing sounds like for me at this moment of my life, right? It starts with weaving, again, asking questions, listening to someone, sharing my perspective, connecting the dots, seeing, the greater picture, understanding where the root causes are, so that we can create these threads of awareness for the consciousness of someone. And after the weaving, when the weaving feels complete at that moment, it's to create movement. So that's where the technique, comes. So create energy, bring this higher divine source of energy to create a movement through these threads of awareness in someone's psyche. The movement breaking stagnation and bringing a new perspective. And then integration. And integration is, again, the responsibility of the person receiving the healing, and this is to crystallize, actualize this new version of self, this new perception that brings a new perspective on life, a new sense of self, a new identity, a new version of who we are. And once the integration is complete, which takes, the time that it takes, then this is where we can bring more awareness, so weave again to go deeper, to bring more clarity in the depth of an issue, and then create another movement, and then reintegrate again. That is why integration in any kind of healing work is so important, because if you start another movement before you fully integrate, well, you're probably, wasting some of your energy or some of your time, because you won't get the same result as if you truly complete the integration of a healing, process, which again is weaving, movement, and then integration. Well, this is what I wanted to share with you, this, deeper understanding that I have at that moment of my life about, what healing sounds like. And, if you would be curious to engage with me in this kind of healing work, you can always contact me at, magicvibrationshealing@gmail.com, and we can see, if we can work together. Thank you.